Alright, so for a while now, I've been pretty much pushing off getting to level 1000 just because I really haven't had time to sort of play for an extended period of time, mainly because I've been spending most of my time trying to find all of these secret stuff. So I figured tonight would be the perfect time to go ahead and make that final push to level 1000, which then I started to go through my channel and I realized that the last time that we did a leveling video was in January 19th, back when Atlantis was only available. So it's been quite some time, and honestly, a lot has changed. Atlantean Storm is no longer the meta, and if you can tell from the rod that I'm using on my back, the current best rod for XP has completely changed as well. So like always, let's make our way over to the location that we're going to be at, as well as give you a breakdown on why we're making certain decisions. All right, so here we are inside of the calm zone, which is exactly where we're going to be fishing, at least in my case, and I'm going to explain to you guys why. But before we get into that, I'm going to give you guys a breakdown on the top 5 rods that you should be using right now to go ahead and gain the absolute most XP. Now, obviously, the no-brainer here is going to be that Seraphic Rod is the best one for XP, just because it is so quick to go ahead and catch fish, and it is extremely easy to do so as well. The unfortunate reality here is that if you have the Seraphic Rod, that means that you're already max level, which means that you have no purpose in actually farming XP, unless you're obviously trying to accumulate a bunch of XP for future updates when they go ahead and increase to max level. So with that being said, the new best rod, without a single doubt, is going to be the Challenger's Rod. To obtain this, it's very simple. Just make it to level 2 and basically travel all the way to the end until you get to the whole entire little fishing area where you would basically catch the frozen Leviathan. This bad boy here is going to cost you 2.5 million, so it is going to be a little bit on the steep side. And in case you're curious, the skin that I'm using on this is the Frost Ledge skin. You obtain this from the actual Mariana Vale crates that you can purchase in pretty much any of like the major little islands or whatever. You can get it at Moosewood, Ancient Owls, Roslet, any of the vendors basically. The only sad side is that you do have to get kind of lucky to get it. Now, there's a couple of reasons why the Challenger Rod is going to be the best one. For starters, 80% lure speed. It is going to be super quick, and it's going to be very easy to mix this with something like seaweed to be able to get that instant lure. 110% luck is incredible when you take into consideration all of the other stats that it has. 0.2 control and 30% resilience, making this rod basically extremely easy to go ahead and catch pretty much anything because it does have a infinite max kg. Now, the passive ability on this is actually really interesting because it gives a plus 20% progression to every fish that you're catching. Again, this makes it super duper fast to catch a lot of fishes because it makes that white bar move super duper fast. If you notice down here, every single fish that I'm going for is giving a plus 20 progression speed, and that bar is moving real quick. This is going to make it so that you have an instant, constant flow of fish coming in as well as XP. Remember, when we do money-making videos around here, we mainly focused on trying to get the most amount of money per fish. But when it comes to XP, you don't really want to focus too much on your money-making, although it is a good idea to sort of have a decent balance, which I'll get into that in just a bit. But your main focus is always going to be to instant lure and to get that fish caught as quick as possible, while also obviously catching fish that have a lot of XP. In the event that you don't have that, you can go ahead and use something like the Tempest Rod. There's a really easy obtainable one, just mainly because you can get it at Atlantis, so really, really good option. It has better lure speed, better luck, a tiny bit less control, but it makes up for it with the 40% resilience. The only downside is that it doesn't have an infinite max kg. Now, I'm sure you already guessed it, but the runner-ups are kind of like the no-life rod. If you're level 500, this is also a good option. Not better than the Challenger or the Tempest, though, so something that you do want to keep in mind. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that no-life rod doesn't have a higher luck, the resilience is not higher, and the passive ability is more or less for money-making, even though it's not really all that great considering we all know that Hex doesn't really have a good cell multiplier. If all else fails, which I don't really know why you would be using this considering it's locked behind level 750, Rod of the Forgotten Fang is pretty much an all-right option, and not really something that I would recommend, and not really something that even the Fishopedia would recommend. Again, if you have the no-life rod and you don't have any of the other ones listed before, just stick to the no-life rod. As for the enchant that you're going to use on every single one of these rods, it's a no-brainer. You need to be using Clever to be getting the absolute most amount of XP. Baits that you can go ahead and mix in would be obviously seaweed because of the 20 lure speed as well as the 10 resilience. Or if you're a big money baller, then you can go ahead and use something like Coral that has 20 lure speed and 20 resilience. Now let's get into the locations because this is going to be sort of the important part. As I mentioned when I first started, I told you guys that I would be fishing tonight here inside of the calm zone. The only time that you should be fishing here and resorting to this area is if you are using server luck as well as an Aurora. This area gives amazing XP, but there is another area, which I'm sure you guys can already guess what it is, that not only gives you better XP by a tiny amount, but in the mix of that, you will also be earning a decent amount of cash. Now, of course, you guessed it, it is the Veil of the Forsaken. And I'm going to be completely honest, there is technically only one reason why I'm recommending this area instead of what technically is the better version of this. Because if in some case you aren't completely lazy like myself, and of course, you're deciding to go ahead and do this without any type of server luck or any type of Aurora, there is technically one other place you can go. That, of course, is going to be Challenger's Deep. As I mentioned before, this is going to be the area where you purchase the Challenger's Rod, which is located right over here. And this is going to be the area that has the overall best XP. You're not going to be earning a crazy amount of money, unlike if you were at the Veil, where you'd be earning a fairly decent balance between both of them. Again, as I mentioned before, here inside of Challenger's Deep, you want to make sure that it's always nighttime if you're farming in here. So if you're doing this in your own private server, just do make sure that you buy yourself a good amount of sundials so you can keep it nighttime all the time. Unfortunately, because of the fact that inside of level 5 being the calm zone, there technically isn't a portal back to Roslet. There's a lot of people that are kind of just stuck there because they're sort of lazy to go all the way back, which I don't blame you guys at all. I'm hoping that by this weekend they should have that fixed, and there technically should be a portal there that'll take you back to Roslet. So that's sort of the reason why I didn't open up with this area right here, because I know that a lot of people are not going to want to go ahead and travel here to then have to travel back whenever they want to do an Aurora or server luck. Either way, let's go ahead and transition to the first time lapse. Let's see how much we earn. Here's a quick look at how much XP I have right now, 141,900. All right, so I'm not 100% sure why this happened, but my XP sort of went backwards, which makes no sense to me, and it kind of ruins my entire plans. One thing is for sure, throughout that entire night cycle, we leveled up 3 times, and I guess at some point during that leveling, my entire XP broke, which I'd like to point out, this has pretty much been an issue since I believe like around the time that Grand Reef was introduced. For some reason, my entire XP has just been broken ever since then. And that's sort of the reason why in the last video that we did about this, I didn't actually do a time lapse for that because unfortunately, as you can see, it does break the XP. So you guys probably more than likely didn't even see the entire time lapse because I most definitely cut it out of the video just to not waste your time. So with all of that being said, man, I hope that this helps you out and you are able to get to your level goal, whether it be level 500, 750, or 1000. I don't exactly know when we're going to be having a next double XP, but hopefully it's very soon. And when that does happen, now you guys are fully prepared, considering I'm more than likely confident that there's probably going to be another double XP before the next major update, which we'll be talking about very, very soon here. Either way, man, with that being said, we're going to end it off right here. If you enjoyed it, make sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys tomorrow with, of course, a live stream early in the morning for whatever the update may be. And we might actually get some type of a leak tomorrow. So if we get our hands on that, expect a double upload late in the afternoon because I'll keep you guys in the loop on what to expect for Saturday. With that being said, man, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.